Self-improvement is more if something feels off with you, or if there's something you want to enhance about yourself, or there's something that you have brushed away because maybe it was told, it's inconvenient to other people, or it's in the way, that those are the kinds of things we want to bring out with self-improvement. So self-improvement's not change, but it's enhancing what we have or what we had at one point and bringing us to our more authentic self. So with these different kinds of topics, I like to switch them up is tangible and things that we can leave with good tips. But today I want to start with how to cope when things get tough, because a lot of times you hear, when things in these, kinds of talks, it's like, oh, well, focus on the positive. Think of how bad other people have it. And we're taught to ignore how we are actually feeling about something because other people might have it worse. And that teaches us to dismiss how we feel, right? And so I want to do the opposite today, because things are going to get tough. Maybe you're in a tough spot right now. Maybe you're not sure how to cope. And maybe everyone around you is telling you just think positive. And while that can work for some people and that can work for some situations, just thinking positive is not always the best, because it's belittling how we feel and it's belittling our own experience and our own journey. So it's pretty easy, when you're in a good mood or when things are going great, to make a plan, to focus on self-love or to focus on other things that make us happy, and to try new things, right? If we're like, oh, I want to do a new morning routine, it's so easy. I shouldn't say easy, easier to plan these things out when we are feeling optimistic about the world, when things are going well for us, when we're in a good mood. It's so much easier. But when things are bad or we're going through a lot, our minds are foggy, our energy is depleted, and we don't want to do anything. So getting us to take on a new task or to start a new routine or do something to improve ourselves is not going to be the easiest, right? So how can we cope when things are tough? First and foremost, I want to remind you guys that everyone copes differently. So it's important that we're not only careful with how we speak to other people in times of coping, but how we speak to ourselves. And if you are someone that grew up where you had to quickly get over sadness, anger, disappointment to move on to the next emotion, you might naturally be belittling your emotion, right? Sometimes I catch myself like, if I'm upset about something or something happened, I'm like, I gotta just move on from this. And I find that I don't truly absorb or understand how I feel because I don't, quote unquote, have time for it, right? How many of us are guilty of not, or of telling ourselves we don't have time to feel a certain way? Because if we stop, then no one else around us will keep going, because we're the caretakers. So I want you to remember that everyone copes differently in those moments. And really acknowledge and ask yourself, how do I typically cope when things are tough?